Hello everybody, welcome to the channel. I'm Recurs, and in today's video I'm going to be discussing why I personally, my own opinion, believe Medal of Honor Warfighter was a better game than Battlefield 4. Okay, if we look at Battlefield 4 today, the most played maps are usually maps that have a very infantry based style, like for instance Operation Locker and Metro. Now I know Metro was originally a Battlefield 3 map, but it was made available in Battlefield 4 and still played a lot today. Now I'm basing this off the console versions of Battlefield since I hardly ever played the PC versions of the game. Now, Medal of Honor Warfighter, if we look at the maps that it launched with, and I'm including the 2.0 Dark 30 map packs that were released with the Hunt DLC, all of those maps were made with the intentions of being fast-paced, infantry-based focused maps. Not as fast-paced as, say, probably a Call of Duty map, but faster than what we'd expect in a general Battlefield game. And I think this sort of gives Medal of Honor a bit of an edge over Battlefield, because obviously, as we know, Battlefield is a large vehicular sandbox sort of game. Medal of Honor really focused on the infantry style of it and really wanted a fast-paced gun versus gun. If you die, you respond quick sort of game, which is why a lot of people actually didn't like the game. Fair enough, I'll give them credit there. A lot of people didn't like Medal of Honor because they felt maybe it was a bit too similar to Call of Duty, whereas the Call of Duty audience who picked it up didn't like it because they felt maybe it was a bit too similar to Battlefield. It really didn't strike a perfect balance, a perfect in-between chord that maybe say Medal of Honor 2010 did, and I really do think that that's probably a reason why I would personally say I think it just edges Battlefield so do, because the map variation itself, the infantry focused game modes, I think played really well so did, and I do think that if we look at the likes of Operation Locker and Operation Metro, a lot of people flock to those because they just want fast-paced, quick gun v gun, no vehicles or anything like that. They want large scale, and I really think Medal of Honor was really hitting the perfect mark with this. So for me personally, I think when it comes to the maps, the infantry style gameplay suits me personally a lot better, which is probably the reason I would sort of give Medal of Honor Warfighter a bit of an edge over Battlefield 4, because like I say, when you come from say a game like Call of Duty, one that you're much more familiar with than Battlefield, which I was more familiar with at the time, I think it makes a lot of sense that this sort of game style and game variety and the map layout works a lot better for that sort of player. So for me personally, I think the maps generally work better for me as an infantry focused player, and a lot of people, even if we look at currently with 2042, a lot of people do sort of want infantry focused maps in that game. So Medal of Honor for me ticks the box right there straight away. Infantry style gameplay works a lot better with Medal of Honor Warfighter. The second thing I'm going to mention here is the attention to detail on the world you're playing in, and what I mean by that is how the environment and maps actually look. It was made very clear by EA and Danger Close that Medal of Honor Warfighter's maps were actually going to be taken from real world locations, and because they were smaller maps than Battlefield maps, they had a much more lived in feel, if you ask me personally. Now don't get me wrong, I think it'd be very wrong to say that the Battlefield maps don't have this feeling in them, and especially Battlefield 4, when you think of that game, one of the maps that comes to mind when I talk about it has a real feel of lived in environment is probably Siege of Shanghai. That's the first one that comes to main, so it is effectively, and we need to remember as well that it was actually a base game map, so there was no DLC included to get Siege of Shanghai. It was originally built for the game itself. Now both games ran on the Frostbite engine, which pretty much gives them a very huge graphical edge on their competition at the time, which was Call of Duty, and I don't mean to spark a war or anything like that, or any heated debate, but Call of Duty was pretty much running off the Quake engine from the 90s, so it was, whereas Battlefield and Medal of Honor Warfighter were using a Frostbite engine, which in 2012 was pulling all sorts of punches. It was a lot of people's favourite engine. A lot of people thought, you know, there's no comparison here, it's the best engine going. But I'm actually going to show you something that, you know, for Medal of Honor Warfighter, that I think it looks really nice and just shows the detail within the game itself. Now again, this is actually on the Xbox 360, so it is, and this is pretty much just me at a loading screen. Not really, you know, worrying, well, not really a loading screen, apologies for that. It's pretty much me in a pre-game setup, so we're effectively in the game itself, and if you actually look at the sun glare on the weapon, you can actually see the shine that the weapon takes, so it does, and even the scope itself has a nice sort of reflective sort of look to it. Now again, it's nothing that's going to, you know, sing home to the bank about it. It's not that anyone's going to be like, hey, this is amazing, we're going to buy Medal of Honor Warfighter, it's better than Battlefield because of this. It's nothing to it like that. It's just whenever I look at something like this, the finer details, the little, you know, little sort of touches that the developers threw into the game, I think it does stand out. I think it really makes, you know, the game sort of feel more real. I like the sense of realism to my games. And Medal of Honor Warfighter, I think, took that to the extreme. A lot of people would say maybe you went a bit too strong with it, you know, forgetting that the core of the project itself was a game. But overall, if you ask me, I think the realism really worked great here. And the fact that they, you know, have this little detail that the camouflage sort of reflects the sunlight hitting it, I think it just looks great. I really do. For me personally, having realism to my shooters is something I love. and this is my own personal opinion, but I have to just specify it. A lot of people don't like Call of Duty Ghost because a lot of people thought, you know, well, first of all, the basis, a lot of people didn't like Call of Duty Ghost. There's no secret there, you know, it's just, it is what it is. But a lot of the complaints I saw from the community is that, you know, it was pretty grey, it didn't really look nice, it wasn't really bright and colourful. And I didn't mind that. I like it whenever war games take the status that war isn't supposed to be bright and colourful, which, you know, I understand people saying, you know, it makes the game feel a lot prettier and stuff like that, but for me personally, I don't like that approach. I like it when it feels real, it feels, you know, dark, gloomy, because war isn't, you know, colourful or anything like that. War is supposed to be depicted as, you know, dark, broody, you know, very tense tone. And so whenever I see a game like Call of Duty Ghost taking a real, you know, greyish tone to it, I think it makes a lot of sense. Whereas if I see the likes of, let's say, the Black Ops franchise, you know, they're all about the bright, colourful colour aspect to it, I don't think it works at all. So for me personally, I love this feature, the fact that, you know, Medal of Honor was a real serious approached game, whereas maybe Battlefield, you know, was a bit more of a light-hearted tone to it, you know, especially if you look at the franchise itself. But that being what it is, I'm getting into a completely different tangent here. I'm going off topic. The point is, I like the realism aspect that the game brought, and realistically, I think that gave it a huge edge over Battlefield. The fact that it was based on real-world locations, and the graphical engine was obviously going to be improved from Battlefield 3, so it was, which came out a year prior. Battlefield 4 is questionable, but, you know, like I say, this, what you're seeing on screen right now, this solar gun sort of look to it, it's taken straight off the Xbox 360, so it is. So graphics won't be on par, but I think graphically it still looks amazing. So I would give it a 1-up. I do think the graphics were a tint better in Medal of Honor Warfighter. Again, my own opinion. You could have a completely different opinion, but that's reason number 2. The world around you that it feels like it's lived in, the graphics, the real world location. I think it just suits Medal of Honor and works a lot better. Now, the third reason I think Warfighter was actually a better game was the launch. Now, I know this is going to be very controversial amongst a lot of people, but hear me. It's no secret Medal of Honor was a mixed bag with a lot of critics, and it did have a lot of bugs. We're not gonna you know, pretend it didn't. It had a lot of bugs at launch, but so did Battlefield 4. And if we compare both games, what we're going to do first off is we're going to completely take out the sales, because it's no secret Battlefield 4 outsold Medal of Honor Warfighter by an absolute country mile, and overall sales mean nothing to the actual game and its performance. Battlefield 4 at launch was, you know, it was crashing a lot of PCs, and it was even crashing consoles. So it was. Now, a game crashing consoles is pretty much something that's unheard of. The Siege of Shanghai map, for instance, completely killed the game. Whenever you brought down the building, you know, the console, the computer, the PC, whatever your platform you're playing on, it was just completely killing the game. So it was, which should never be happening on a AAA launch game, so it shouldn't. Now, I suppose if you want to be picky about it, you can sort of, you know, make a bit of a defense for DICE in this situation, because we need to remember, when they were making Battlefield 4, they were making it for realistically 5 different consoles. When you think about it, they were making it for the PC, so there's one. They were making it for the Xbox One, the Xbox 360, the PlayStation 3, and the PlayStation 4. Their focus was pretty much divided, because obviously we know hardware and so forth and stuff like that. You'll never be able to, you know, put the same amount of hardware into, say, a PS4 game that you could with a PS3 game, and the same works with the Xbox. PC, you can, you know, go balls in, you can go crazy with it, so you can, because you know PCs have overall more power than a traditional console. But the fact of the matter is that it still had a lot of crashes with it, left, right and centre. If I can remember correctly, I think that this pretty much ran on for almost a year after the game was released, so that it just couldn't, you know, become what it was meant to be in the first year. And that's actually, it's sad to think of, because a lot of people still refuse to play the game because of this alone. And, you know, arguably a lot of people would say this is their favourite Battlefield game. Now, a year before Battlefield 4 actually came out, we had Medal of Honor Warfighter, pretty obvious. We had a lot of bugs in that game as well, but there were actually, you know, sort of basic bugs that you'd expect. Now, saying you'd expect these bugs is probably a strong term, because let's be honest, when you see a AAA game get released with a big budget, the bugs should be ironed out. But like I said, the bugs that we basically had with Medal of Honor Warfighter were the type of bugs you'd probably come to expect with, you know, day one and so forth. And these bugs consisted of being sent back to the main menu, so that whenever you tried loading into a match, you know, black screening it, falling through the map at respawns, or, you know, deaths, you know, stuff like that that could very easily be ironed out. But the overall purpose and the overall aspect of the argument I'm making here is the game actually ran. It did run, so it did a lot smoother than Battlefield 4. Again, it was only being made for 3 platforms: PC, Xbox 360 and PS3. Maybe that helped, maybe not, I don't know. But overall, at least the game could actually manage to run, and run quite well, so it did to a degree. I actually do remember the game got a lot better after the day one patch itself rolled out. Again, nothing magic happened here, so it was still, you know, a couple bugs here and there. But the point of the matter is that the bugs that were in this game are still in that game to the day, because EA abandoned it. But that game you can actually still play. So what's that tell you about, the difference in the games? Now, what's actually a lot more disappointing is that when you consider Medal of Honor Warfighter, whenever it, launched, the sales weren't great, so EA was, on the back burner, but they were like, what are we going to do? And then in January 2013, they pretty much just abandoned the game, so that it was like, no more development time will be thrown into the game, nothing else, it's just, it got released, it's done. What's more disappointing about this is the fact that the team that was working on it, Danger Close Games, they went on to become DICE LA. As DICE LA, they pretty much went in and they saved Battlefield 4 from a catastrophe. So that they did a lot of work. So that they were pretty much the cleanup crew. They did a lot of work. They made a lot of the DLCs. As long as Visceral also made a DLC. I'm not exactly sure what one it was, but Visceral pretty much made a DLC for the game, preparing for their own game, Battlefield Hardline, which came out a year after Battlefield 4. But overall, DICE LA, again, who were once Danger Close Games, the developers of Medal of Honor, who were pulled from Medal of Honor and couldn't salvage anything in that game, salvaged Battlefield 4 and made it arguably the best Battlefield game that we've had in years. In my opinion, I do truly believe the Battlefield 4 is still the best Battlefield game. So does a lot of other people, but again, opinions, some people agree, some will disagree, it's no big deal. That's my opinion. You can have a totally different opinion, whatever. But the point is, these guys, who have been shown to be a very talented team, they went in and they saved that game, and they weren't allowed to save their own game. So it's a bit of a sore and a bit of a stinger one, so it is, because like these people could have saved Medal of Honor Warfighter had EA allowed them to, but again, no point in getting annoyed about it. EA pulled the plug so that it never got saved. Now this is my final reason, but the customization. Now I know a lot of Battlefield 4 fans will say, well, we got a lot of great customization in Battlefield 4. And to be fair, the customization, I agree with them, was great. But Medal of Honor Warfighter, I think, just did it a lot better. It looked a lot more tidy, so it did when it came to the customization. And I also like the fact that it sort of makes you look at the weapon on a first person's basis, the way you'll look at it pretty much on screen and handling it. So you could change the scopes to whatever way you like them. You could, change the barrels, etc. And I think it just worked perfectly. Now the only issue with this is that a lot of the attachments were pretty much, they did nothing unless you were using a sniper effectively. There was nothing to really, change the handling, the accuracy whatsoever. None of that existed. And I don't think this was actually a purposely built design. I think this was actually something that they just didn't have the time to iron out whenever they were rushing the game. So it was pretty much one of those a last resort sort of deal situations that they were probably going to fix down the line. But again, EA pulled the plug. The game got no support whatsoever. And I do honestly think if we look at, Battlefield, there's a lot of stuff that I think was put into Battlefield 4 that was probably originally intended for Medal of Honor Warfighter. Like there's a lot of camos and stuff that I'm looking at and thinking there's a great selection here. And here's the thing about that, a lot of people will argue and say, well, no, it was solely made for Battlefield. A lot of unused assets for Medal of Honor Warfighter were actually probably used in Battlefield 4 to help the game sort of, go a bit further, make it look like a much more finished product. Mainly because those development plans, those, ideas, whether it be camouflages, weapon attachments, weapons, etc. What generally happens is that they're already pre-built, so they are, because you have to remember both games were using the Frostbite engine, so it's very easily just put them into another game. That's the way it can work. And if we look at it like that, I actually do think that there's a lot in the game. I can't specify myself like purposely, and say, oh, that one was definitely that was it. I can't really say that because again, I'm just speculating here, but I do truly believe that there's a lot of Medal of Honor Warfighter assets that were recycled for Battlefield 4, and even some DLC maps. I do truly believe that there's a lot of DLC maps were intended for, Medal of Honor Warfighter, but they got free in the Battlefield 4 so did. So again, my own opinions, I'm not going to say which maps I think it is, but I've played in a couple that I could look at and go, yeah, that's totally meant to be made for Medal of Honor, to, just made it a bit bigger, etc. and so forth. But it's just my opinion. I do love the customization about this game, and one interesting thing about this customization, again, might just be my own opinion, so it might. And I know I've sort of went a bit all over the board with this video. Apologies, guys. I had it written down, but I'm winging it as I'm sort of taking it from the screen, what I'm looking at here effectively. So again, apologies. But in the next video I'll try and get it a lot more evened out and much more clean. We'll say so well. But one of the things that I really want to touch on about the customization is that anytime I play Call of Duty Modern Warfare, the 2019 one, I really do get a strong Medal of Honor Warfighter vibe when it comes to the customization. I think, and again, people will say, why would they take ideas from a bad game? You have to remember, when it comes to a bad game, the game isn't bad completely. It's not like every detail in a game is bad. For instance, customization in Medal of Honor Warfighter was actually praised quite a lot by people, so that obviously the visuals were praised, like in Frostbite engine, but we have to sort of expect that. So I can honestly see a lot of people, you know, just looking at these and thinking, well, it's been a couple of years since that game came out. Let's pick this idea up and run with it, and people will think it's our idea. And Modern Warfare 2019, the customization for Call of Duty was praised, even though I think it's very similar to Medal of Honor Warfighter. Again, just my own opinions, but those were a couple of reasons pretty much why I do think, you know, Medal of Honor Warfighter was a better game than Battlefield 4. Again, they're my opinions. You can have totally different opinions of it. What I'm actually going to do in a couple of weeks is I'll probably do a video sort of on the other way around. I'll probably do a video why Battlefield 4 was actually a better game than Medal of Honor Warfighter. I know, just a bit of fun, you know, why not? But yeah, I've been encouraged. If you guys like this video, then please feel free to subscribe. It helps the channel out, it makes me feel pretty good, so it does about myself, I'm not going to lie. And yeah, thanks for checking out the video, guys. Have a nice day, and peace.